Hello everyone, my name is Grant Waldy. I'm a principal engineer at Parsons, and this is going to be a presentation about my recent climb of that mountain right there. It's called Aconcagua. It's in South America. It's 22,841 feet. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm kind of going to do a combination of PowerPoint presentation, then I'm going to jump to some videos, then some photos, going to kind of be jumping all around. And what I'll do is I'll put in the description below the timestamps of where I talk about various different things. So if there's a certain section that you really want to jump to, or if there's a section you want to skip, you can just kind of look at the timestamps. So overall, I've broken the presentation into 5 different things. I'm going to talk about mountain facts. I'm going to go in detail. I'm going to go through every piece of gear that we used. I'm going to talk about the food that we brought up. Some travel outside of the mountain, and then of course I think the part that everyone wants to see is the actual climb. So let's start off with some mountain facts. So this book here is called Climbing the 7 Summits, basically the tallest mountain on all 7 continents, written by a guy named Mike Hamill, and I used this book to prepare for my climb up Kilimanjaro. So this is the Aconcagua page. I'm obviously going to be taking my own pictures, but this is kind of, what it's going to look like. It's going to be desert-ish type climbing. Here's the stats on it, its height, where it is. At any point in the video here, you can just kind of pause it if you want to know the exact distances in between the camps and stuff. The real quick way of looking at it is it's about 9 days up, 3 days down, but there's lots of acclimatization and travel. So, kind of plan on 3 weeks basically being away from home. And so where is it? So it's down in South America, down here in Argentina. And I'm going to be flying to Santiago, Chile, then taking a quick flight to Mendoza. And then we're going to be staying the night here, and then we drive, and then we go up to Aconcagua. And this is just a fantastic book. Obviously, I'm not going to read this out loud to you, but it talks about the natural history of it. This guy's kind of goofing off at the summit. It talks about when people first climbed it, so all the facts there about the mountain. And again, it's very, very deserty when you're up there. How to plan the expedition, all the notes are in here. So I'm not going to read this out. If you want any more details, you can just ask me. This is more what I'm kind of looking forward to, where you're kind of in the snow, kind of in the desert. That's going to be good. There's more of a map of actually where we're going. And what this book does really well is it lays out kind of all the pros and cons, things you want to know about sanitation, garbage, and then it actually has a whole itinerary. So this is pretty close to what we're actually going to do. Of course, different guide groups, they do it in different ways. And I did this here. So the max change, the max vertical delta, you're going up 350 floors in a day, and then you're going down 550 floors in a day. And the max distance you walk in a single day is between 19 kilometers or 12 miles. So that's kind of how I prepared for this. I put on a backpack, a 60-pound backpack. I went to the gym, and I tried to see if I could do 350 floors, and I also tried to see if I could, go for about a 12-mile hike with the backpack on. And then, of course, there are alternate ways to get up the mountain. I'm really looking forward to this as well, going across a river while we're carrying a backpack. And then at the end here, it has a gear guide for all the things you're supposed to bring. But instead of relying on their gear guide, I'm going to rely on the gear guide that my group told me that I need to take, and that's what we're going to go through next. All right, there is just a ton of gear. I've laid it all out on my floor here. And if the gear doesn't interest you, you can always skip ahead in the video where I'm actually going on my trip. So I'll start with the outer layers here. We always have like a light hoodie. This is a mammut hoodie. It kind of keeps you warm, keeps the wind off. I suspect I'm going to be doing most of my hiking in that. On summit day, we're going to have a warmer, puffy jacket, and then something to stop the wind and or rain, and then a big extra large parka. Now, every day when we're stopping to rest, I'll be wearing that, I'll be hot and sweaty, but if you're sitting there and you're starting to get cold, that's not going to be good. So as soon as we sit down and we take a break, we put on our puffy jacket. For a sleeping system, I've got a Montbell sleeping bag. This one's good down to -20 Fahrenheit. It's called the Down Hugger 800. So my guide said this is good for Everest, good for Denali, good for Aconcagua. A closed foam sleeping pad and also an inflatable sleeping pad. Kind of, if this one pops, we have this as a backup. And also if this one doesn't pop, this provides an extra layer of insulation. For wearing on our heads, basically, a warm hat or a beanie or a toque, depending on what country you're in. Climbing helmet. They suggested a ball cap, but having a full brimmed hat doesn't necessarily look as cool, but it keeps the sun off. Sunglasses, sunshades, ski goggles, and then this is the company I'm going with. By the way, I'll just shout out to them, RMI Expeditions, and this is called a buff. Basically, it's a really thin layer that just a tube. It goes over your head, and then you kind of use it to kind of shield your face from the wind and from the cold. Kind of similar to a ski mask. I might bring either or. I'm going to bring both, and then my guide's going to tell me which one I should use. For hand system, you got to have the lightweight gloves to keep dirt and sun off, medium weight, and then really heavy, thick mitts. Of course, you got to have your passport, photocopied copies of your passport in case you actually lose the original document, emergency numbers, travel medical insurance. This is an emergency avalanche beacon, spending cash, whole bunch of checklists and various different things. A lot of this I will not take up on the mountain. I will take this with me and we'll leave it back in the hotel. But it's all the things that we're going to be going through to make sure we have everything properly in order. For the foot system, what we use, big, heavy boots. These are La Sportiva Barunce. They're a double boot. This actually comes out, so you can dry it off at nighttime. And heavy industrial crampons here. When do we use these? Just on summit day. For the majority of the time, I'm just going to be hiking in regular old Nike free runs. These are the exact shoes that I used to go up Kilimanjaro. No hiking boots required, just Nike free runs. Why do I have a second pair? This is for crossing rivers. Because if you cross a river in this and it gets soaking wet, then you're going to get blisters. So we're going to get to rivers. I'm going to take off my socks and shoes. I'm going to put these on. There's no insoles in them. They're just super ultra light. They get soaking wet, but then I take them off. And then when we're at camp, just nice, comfortable flip-flops for kind of airing out your feet and walking around. For bottom layers here, I've kind of laid stuff on top of my pants. I don't know if I'll use all these, but I've got long underwear, then fleece pants, and then hiking pants, climbing pants. I'm going to be using those a lot. And the days when it's really cold, I have these insulated, they're not ski pants, they're just insulation pants. And then also I have these heavy-duty, thick rain pants, these guys here. Of course, on top of that, I have various different bags, for separating outer layer and underwear and used underwear and that sort of stuff. So they're just kind of just bags that you can use. I might not use all of them on the trip. Gaiters are in here, a pack cover's here. These are my hiking poles. That's my ice axe. As far as top layers, I'm probably going to do everything in this. So this is a long sleeve shirt with a hood. It's very lightweight. It's made by this company here called Bite, which I believe is a company right out of Seattle. Great shirt. I'm probably going to do almost everything in that. Maybe on summit day, I'll probably wear this long sleeve. It's a little bit thicker. And I don't know if I'll ever actually wear these two t-shirts. I'll probably wear these t-shirts like one when I'm down there, and then maybe when I'm at camp. Again, I'll ask my guide what he thinks about that. And then why do I have a dress shirt? Well, when you've been hot and sweaty and you haven't showered for 12 straight days and you're going to go to a nice restaurant at the end to celebrate, it's nice to have a dress shirt. So there's our dress shirt, some dress shirt and jeans. And then also lazing around by the pool because when we first get there, there is a pool at the hotel. So I have got my little Toucan Sam shorts there. Another shout out to RMI, the hoodie that they have, collection of underwear, shorts, various different socks. 3 Nalgene 1 quart or 1 liter drinking bottles. And then this is a bottle. and you got to make sure you label it properly. Yeah, bad. You don't drink out of that one. So that's used at nighttime when you have to go to the washroom. You don't even have to leave your tent. Sounds a little bit gross, but in all honesty, you don't even have to leave your sleeping bag. And when it's freezing cold outside, that is far, far worth it. So then looking at all the other things I have here, you got camera. Some of the stuff I won't take on the mountain. It will be for when we're traveling around Argentina. So the camera and the little tripod and the charger, that won't go up with me. I probably will take an assortment of these carabiners. These, I'm going to try these out. They're just kind of like bendable things that you can maybe wrap like a sleeping pad in. I'm going to try that out. Might not work out so well. Bowl, spoon, cup, sunglasses. This was an interesting one. Safety glasses that are right close to your face, because apparently it's very dusty up there. So when we finish the hike, we put these on, or whenever it starts to get dusty, it keeps the dust out of your eyes. So that's an interesting idea. A compass and a GPS. Not because I think I'm going to get lost, but the compass has a mirror in it, and the GPS, it's just kind of a little luxury item. I like to check what elevations we're at, record those sorts of things. Valuables like your iPhone and your wallet can go in a watertight Pelican case. And then this is just various different toiletries. You know, I have altitude sickness pills, which I haven't used since I bought them on Kilimanjaro, but it's better to have them than not have them and need them. Ibuprofen. Can't say enough about ibuprofen instead of Advil or Tylenol. Ibuprofen is going to handle all of the swelling. It's just a lot better to take than actually Advil. And then this stuff here, this is Noon Boost. It's basically caffeine pills. So I hope to not go into these three things. These are kind of last minute. If I really need a push, I'll go into this. If I'm in a lot of pain, I'll go into this. And if I'm suffering from altitude sickness, I'll go into here. But these are kind of my last ditch right here. These are glacier goggles. They're special sunglasses that kind of fit tight to your face. A battery pack. We got hand warmers, toe warmers. This is a solar-powered watch. Why do I bring a book along? A book is nice to just keep yourself occupied at nighttime, and also you can just kind of journal. I bring a pencil for journaling, not a pen, because a pen will leak all over the place. Why do I have big industrial strength toenail clippers? Well, cleaning the grit and grime out of your fingernails and your toenails each night is extremely important to do. You got to really keep care of your feet, so that's important. There's no showers where we're going, so having wipes to wipe yourself off. They sell these at REI. This is really good. Luggage locks. So the TSA guys, these are TSA approved luggage locks, so they can get in, but no one else can. Obviously a charger for when we're going to foreign countries. And then just an assortment: toothbrush, toothpaste, their floss, deodorant, what's that? Bug spray, sunscreen, and the final things here. We also have Blistex for chapped lips. You got to put that on every day because it's really dry up there. Hand sanitizers and water purifiers. Oh, and that's my GoPro as well. So, ton of gear. I did not buy it all yesterday. You know, it's been years of buying all this gear. And how do we get it all up there? Well, the challenge now is to fit it all into these two Patagonia bags. So they're both 120 liter bags, and I'm also going to have a day pack. I'm going to take that on the plane with me. That's going to be my carry-on. And then also, like when we're going around town, this is just a tiny little bag, basically like a purse. You just put your camera in there and a water bottle. So that's just more as a tourist. So I'm going to check these two bags. This is a carry-on. And when we're going up the mountain, a mule or a donkey is going to have one of the bags, maybe two. The other bag, if it's not on the donkey, will be left back at the hotel. This bag will be left back at the hotel. This bag will be left back at the hotel. And I will try to cram as much as I possibly can into this bag right here. So I just bought this one. This is a North Face Prophet 100. So it's a 100 liter bag, biggest backpack they make. So I will try to put a lot of stuff into that bag and then a fair bit of stuff into this bag. And hopefully the second bag is just to leave back at the hotel. So lots of people are always very interested in what the food is like in foreign countries. So what I did was I took a picture of all the food that we ate, and I split it into three different groups. One was the what we ate in Mendoza, and the second group is what we ate on the mountain itself, and then the third group is what we ate when we got back to Mendoza. So I think the first picture I have here, I had some orange juice. So let's just kind of quickly go through this. You go to restaurants, most restaurants have the Spanish on top with the English right underneath. And these prices here, this is in Argentinian pesos. And the exchange rate, sometimes it's 50 to 1, sometimes it's 80 to 1. It really just kind of seems on whatever the restaurant or the store wants to charge. Basically, we could go out to a fancy restaurant, a bottle of wine for the table, appetizers, main, and a dessert, and it would cost, and with a reasonable sized tip as well, it would come to about $25 per person. So it's just fantastic, because if you were to go out to a fancy restaurant in America, you're easily spending $50, $60, $70 per person. So the prices are really quite affordable in Argentina. Food is fantastic. Just every single meal that came was really great. This is the water. It's always called agua con gas, which means water with gas in it. They really didn't serve just regular water. It was always water in a bottle. And I think that was some macaroni we had. And again, you can see the table is just full of wine and various different bottles that we're drinking. So we were really eating well before we went up the mountain. And this is the buffet at the restaurant that we stayed in. So yeah, just fantastic food everywhere we went. Really good. You wanna load up on all that food before you go up in the mountain and you expel all those calories. So I was eating a lot of meat, a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables, empanadas all over the place as we were kind of driving to the mountain. Various different cakes and pastries. So yes, we would. It felt like being on a princess cruise ship. Basically, we were eating as much food as we possibly could in the few days before we got up to the top of the mountain. And I think that's all for photos. I believe here I have a video. No, the video's next of some of the meat we had when we get back. So that's the food we had while in Mendoza, and now I'll switch to the food that we had while on the mountain. So once we were on the mountain, I was expecting a lot of mountain house and a lot of just kind of add boiling water type meals, but man, the meals we had on the mountain were very good. These are our two guides here, Dominic and Nick, and they brought up these white gas camp stoves and pots and pans, and here they are. They're cooking up some pasta for us. We had some really good meals up on the mountain, and it was a variety. If you're eating the same meal over and over and over again, that starts to get pretty old, because we were on the mountain for about 17 straight days. Here's kind of a little grilled cheese sandwich. At various different camps, not all the camps, but some of the camps had tables and chairs, and they had staff that are there for 4 months of the year, and they would bring us out cookies and juice and candies and things. So certainly at some of the camps we ate really well. Here's some meat being grilled up. We're at 13,000 feet. We're pretty high in elevation, but they pack in all this food on the pack mules. So some of the meals were just fantastic. I mean, this doesn't look like roughing it to me. This looks pretty darn good. Lots of potatoes and onions. This would be more of a high altitude meal. You can see I'm wearing my gloves here, so it's probably pretty cold out. This would be probably some hash browns with some cheese in a tortilla. We had lots of that. When I got back to my tent each night, I would usually have crackers and pepperoni, just a good amount of protein and carbs to get in the body. Again, here's another camp that we were at. It's really nice. You really appreciate sitting down at a table and just having some fresh fruit. So as far as the meals, we definitely did not go hungry. We had a lot of good meat and a lot of good vegetables and fruit to eat the whole time. Here's I'm just going to turn down the volume here. But here they are cooking up some meat for us. Just fantastic. I mean, you don't even need barbecue sauce. The meat's just so fresh and so good up here. Yes, Just a zoom in at the same thing again. And lots of peppers and potatoes. So the meals were definitely fantastic while we were up there. Occasionally we would find Coca-Cola for sale at various different places, and that was certainly very welcome to have that little sugar high. Lots of sausages, lots of meat. That was some melon that we had there. So yeah, I mean, it depends on the tour group you go with. We definitely saw other tour groups just eating the traditional mountain house with boiled water. I can't say enough good things about the company I went with. It's called RMI, Rainier Mountaineering Incorporated, RMI Expeditions. They're just a great company to go with. You know, here's kind of a bologna sandwich that they made for us. With croutons and soup bowls. Just really fantastic. And even wine. Even at various different camps, they would have wine there. Because you got to understand, there are people that live along the trail for the hiking season, and they want to eat well as well. Spaghetti, lots of orange juice. Got to get your vitamin C in you. We even had pancakes for breakfast. So you don't. Oh man, they were roughing it. Wow, there were days where it was pretty rough, where we were eating Mountain House, but a lot of the days we were scarfing down pizza. Here's a little quinoa salad with some steak. So for sure, we had a lot of really good food. How did they prepare this? Well, at a lot of the camps, they had these dome tents, and you can see people just working hard in these dome tents here, preparing all the food for us. So yeah, it is rough at times, but they made it as not rough as possible. Lots of fruit. Came with the pizza. This is some sort of like Wiener Schnitzel we had. Bacon and eggs. This would be more of a camp meal. You can see there I'm just sitting in the dirt, drinking out of my Nalgene bottle, and then I believe this is just kind of a just add water kind of meal. Some of the meals get a little bit more bland than others. But yeah, for the most part, just fantastic. We had these little pizza pops when we came down from the summit, and they even gave us some champagne to celebrate when we got back. So yeah, the meals for sure were very good. We were well fed. We did not have to worry about nutrition. Big breakfasts, big dinners. We didn't have anything throughout the day usually. So throughout the day, that was basically every hour we would stop and we would have shot blocks or granola bars or Cliff bars or dried fruit. So throughout the day we were eating more traditional hiking, camping food, but we had a good breakfast and a good dinner basically every day that we were on the mountain. So once we got back to civilization, most of us had lost a lot of weight. I myself lost about 12 pounds. Some people lost 15 pounds. We all lost between about 8 and 15 pounds. So time to pack it all back on, because we didn't show up overweight. We showed up in the best shape of our life, and we weren't really planning on losing weight. So we went to as many restaurants as we could, and my favorite type of ice cream, chocolate chip mint. Just really kind of packing on the meat, donuts. Yeah, we really wanted to eat because we were so skinny. We looked in the mirror and we didn't even really recognize ourselves. The steaks there, one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life. The serving portion sizes are just huge down in Mendoza. This place was just great that we went to. It's just right across the street. Here's how they cook a lot of the meat. They're really big on their beef down there. And just more, Italian food, and again back to empanadas. So I think it was about 40 different mussels in this bowl that I have here. I tried goat meat, just all the types of meat you could possibly have, and then of course a little taste of American junk food. You find some Gatorades, some Oreos, Pepsi, various different things. And this was my last meal in Argentina, and I know some people go, oh gross, you went to McDonald's, but hey, you burn thousands and thousands of calories. It's time to have yourself a McChicken. So that in summary, that's the food. And, just the biggest thing I would say is we did not go hungry. We definitely had a lot of good food the entire time. We had good junk food, we had bad junk food. We ate and ate and ate, because when you're exercising for 6 to 8 hours a day, you really need to just pack in those calories. We start the trip in the beautiful Denver airport. Look at that giant security line. Now I've made it to LAX, and there's the famous LAX dome. And now we're in the Santiago, Chile airport. And now we are in Mendoza, Argentina. It's about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. This next set of photos and videos I'll show you is basically our hotel and where we're staying in Mendoza. You know, if you're going to be staying in a tent for a couple of weeks, you want to start the trip off right. So we stayed in this hotel here. It's called the Diplomatic Hotel. Ultra swanky, super nice hotel. It only cost $109 US a night to stay here, which, you know, $109, what does that get you in most parts of America? That gets you kind of a dumpy Super 8 sort of thing. So to stay in one of these nice classy hotels for only $109 a night, that was pretty nice. And here's, you know, just views of the lobby. Pretty much everyone staying there was either doing some sort of trekking or they were doing wine tasting. There was a fair number of tourists from Santiago, Chile, who stay here. Full service gym, very, very nice hotel. So here's just some shots of downtown Mendoza. You know, they've got all the same stores that you would find in most American cities. They have a light rail there that went right beside the hotel. It's a nice modern city. Felt like being at home, just a lot warmer, and lots of trees. There's trees on every single street. It helps with the shade, helps keep down the heat. They have lots of these outdoor cafes we would eat in a lot of. Yeah, so there's the light rail, and here's the team. We're having a lunch. While we were having lunch, this guy walked by. His name is Nims Purja, and he's like the LeBron James, Michael Jordan of rock climbing right now. He has the record for climbing all of the mountains in the world that are over 8,000 meters. There's 14 of them. So that includes Mount Everest and K2 and Lhosti and those various mountains in the Himalayan mountain range. He climbed all 14 of them. I think the previous record was something like 8 years. He did all 14 of them in under 7 months. I think it was 6 months and 6 days. You can see his shirt there, 14-7. So all 14 8,000 meter peaks in under 7 months. Really nice guy. He just happened to be walking by. He was leading a trip up Aconcagua. They had just summited, and I was really happy to get a picture with him. We went to a grocery store. Grocery stores, besides the prices all being in Argentinian pesos, so there we go, $408 for a thing of deodorant or whatever that is. Besides the prices being in Argentinian pesos, it really felt like being in a Target or being in a Walmart. They had most of the same products. Very, very modern looking grocery stores they have there. How do prices compare? You know, I think I mentioned before, for restaurants, it's about half price. Groceries, 25% cheaper than the prices that you would expect if you were in America. Some of the street art, this kind of looks like the famous artist Banksy. So I took some photos of that. Beautiful architecture they have there, the Spanish themed architecture. There's different statues. This here is, I always like to find this when I go shopping, and you find these kind of hole-in-the-wall places where they sell a whole bunch of crazy products in these super hot, sweltering, almost like warehouse type places. And so I think the next video I have here is a time lapse where I walk through the whole thing really fast. Yeah, so you can buy, you know, Nike t-shirts and Adidas, a bunch of knockoff type of stuff all quite cheap prices there. And then this, what I'll do is hopefully the volume works here. I apologize for the way I'm recording if this isn't going to work properly. But there was a soccer game playing, and these guys were all kind of cheering along. So they all have these kind of songs that everyone seems to know the lyrics to, and they kind of sing along. I bought a Festina watch while I was down there. Really good price, only about $280 US. It's a Spanish-made brand. I always like buying watches when I go on vacations. And so that's, we've gone through the food and the gear and the travel. When's the hiking going to begin, Grant? Okay, well finally, you've made it to this part in the video, or maybe you've just skipped to this part in the video. This is now the beginning of the actual hike. We leave Mendoza and we start driving into the desert, and this is what everything looks like basically for the next 17 days. There we go, I zoomed in on a bridge. I'm a bridge engineer, so I like bridges. But this is pretty much what everything looks like. It's very arid. We're hiking in 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is our life for the next couple of weeks. So the next few videos and photos will now start going to the main attraction, actually talking about the hike. Here we are at the shop. This is the hotel we'll be staying in the final night before we head way up there. Now we're at the base camp hotel, and basically what we do is we explode all our gear, and now we're packing it all properly for the various different days that we need various different things on. We start off here in Argentina. If we zoom that in, we're halfway in between Mendoza and Santiago. Zoom that in a little bit more. Mendoza, Santiago. Zoom that in a little bit more. And we're here. We're going to go to the Vacas Valley. So this blue dot is where our hotel is. We drive back about 15 minutes, and this is where we start hiking. And we hike through this valley. We just keep hiking, going along the river. Hiking, and we make it all the way to there. And then we take an abrupt left turn. We cross the river. We walk through the river. And then we walk uphill to about there. And that's base camp. And then what we do is basically a bunch of switchbacks, and we walk up and down and up and down. We walk up, we drop off a bunch of gear, we come back down, we walk up, we walk a little bit farther, drop off more gear. So it's a bunch of up and down, up and down, up and down. High camp is right about over here. And then on summit day, we quickly attempt to get up to the summit, come back down, go to sleep. And then the next morning, we walk all the way back down to base camp. And then the next day is crazy. We walk from base camp all the way to about here. And then the next morning, we walk out to the parking lot, come back, pick up some of the gear that we had left off, our street clothes and passport and things that we had left back at the gear shop. And then we drive all the way back to Mendoza. So we begin our hike, and we start hiking through what's called the Vacas Valley, and it's 3 days of this. And it was myself plus 5 other people, so 6 climbers, and then 2 guides, our lead guide Nick, our assistant guide Dominic, and occasionally we had porters. We had, I think during the course of the time, we had about 3 porters. We didn't really see them very much. We would just see them in the morning. They'd pick up our bag and then leave. And we also had, I'm going to say, about 15 mules, and we would put a bunch of our loads on that. So you see the size of our backpack. We had about 35-liter backpacks that we were hiking with, and pretty much we had in there 2 to 3 liters of water for the day. We had rain gear. We had a change of clothes in case it got hot or got cold, sunscreen, various different things, and some snacks. But pretty much we're hiking with pretty light backpacks for the first 3 days through this Vacas Valley, and it is quite deserty. The temperatures there are 80 degrees, 90 degrees. At nighttime, it would get down to 60 or even 50 throughout the Vacas Valley. A lot of mud, a lot of dirt, a lot of sand blowing in our face, and just everything's just very, very arid. Beautiful blue skies as we were walking. Occasionally we had some bridges that we had to cross. There was our first side of the mountain, as I showed in that previous slide. We walk up through the valley and the mountains to our left, and then there's this opening where you can see the mountain. So we've been walking from the left side of the screen all the way until here, and now that we're on day 3, we have to cross this river, and it's a very braided river. It's only about 1 to 2 feet deep in multiple different crossings at this time of year, because we're crossing it in the summertime. And then we walk up through this valley all the way to the mountain. So I took a few more photos of the mountain there, different zooms and exposure lengths. Nice panorama of the mountain. And now we're starting to head up. So the first 3 days, again, it's just this over and over for 3 days. We didn't see hardly anyone. We were really, really blessed. I think we were in between a lull. There was a huge group of people that was coming after us, and there was some people before us as well. But we pretty much walked as far as the eye could see. We were the only people that we saw. It was really fantastic to be that secluded in Argentina. So after 3 days, we make it to base camp, and unfortunately at base camp, that's where we lost the first person in our group, and he didn't give much of an explanation to the group. I kind of heard it secondhand. He wasn't really feeling it. He trained in a certain way that I guess he didn't feel was the right way to train, and he paid for a helicopter, $2,100 it costs, and he helicoptered out. So, I respect the guy, because if you don't feel 100%, you don't feel like you can do it, you don't want to put yourself in danger, and you don't want to put your team members in danger. And also, you're not allowed to walk out by yourself. You have to go with a guide. So, what happens if there's one guide's already gone with somebody, and now you have to go, and the whole team has to turn around? So it's obviously a tough decision. You do a whole bunch of training, you buy a bunch of gear, you take the time off work, you spend all the money, you fly all the way down here, you hike to base camp, and then you make the decision that you need to turn around. But I respect the guy for doing that. So we made it to base camp, and there was 6 of us, and one guy turned around. So then the remaining 5 of us, we carried on, and you can see from base camp it's quite arid, but you don't have to hike too much up the mountain before you start to get into the snow, and you just get beautiful views. Sometimes the mountain's completely socked in and you can't see the summit, but then other times the clouds move away and you look at it and you go, oh, that doesn't look too far away. And then you'll see this line here? Well, that's one of the paths, one of the routes up. And occasionally, you'll see like a little red jacket or something moving along, and you'll see the scale, and you'll realize, oh man, that is really far away that we have to go. So, we start hiking up, and here's one of our camps here. So there's the tents that we were staying in while we were up on the mountain. Just breathtaking view. I'll pause it here. This is one of the more permanent tents that they set up. They call them the dome tents. They'll be up there all season long, and you can see there's an antenna on it. So actually at 18,000 feet, we had a dome tent with Wi-Fi. Now it only worked when the sun was out, but we would go inside and we would turn on the Wi-Fi, and I was able to email my friends, email my family, and say everything's okay at this point, and this is how we're doing. My North Face backpack actually broke. The back, I just bought it, was brand new, and the back brace, it broke. And so I sent them an email, and I said, is there any way you can get me a new backpack at 18,000 feet? And the guy said no. He said, wait until you get back to Denver. But I was able to arrange that over Wi-Fi from up here, and then I'll keep panning the video here, and then we look up, and there's the summit up there. So again, it looks pretty close, but it takes a lot of time. So it's 3 days to get to base camp. You hang out in base camp for a day or two, just kind of acclimatizing, and then as I described in the video before, you pack about half of your gear up to Camp 1, and your backpacks will range anywhere from 45 all the way up to, one guy had a 61-pound backpack, which is too heavy. You should have 45 to 55 sort of thing. And you pack a bunch of gear up to Camp 1, you cache it all, you just kind of bury it underneath some rocks so the wind doesn't blow it away. You hike back down to the camp below, you go to sleep, and then the next morning you wake up, you do it again. You pack the other half of your gear up to that camp, and then you'll spend the next day resting. And resting is kind of a loose term. You still go for a little hike just to keep your blood going and to keep acclimatizing. But that was basically the split. We'd do 2 days of hiking, 1 day of resting, and it was this up, down sort of thing. And we would hike for between 5 to 8 hours a day. So 1 hour of hiking, 10 minutes of resting, another hour of hiking, 10 minutes of resting, and we would do that over and over and over again. So, it's not all that difficult when you look at a snapshot of what we're doing. When you watch us hiking for 30 seconds, you say, well, you're just hiking. You're putting one foot in front of the other. What makes it difficult is that you're doing it for an hour, then you're resting, then you're doing it for another hour, then another hour, then another hour, then another hour. So 5 to 8 hours a day of hiking, and then at nighttime you don't get a warm shower. You don't get to sleep in your queen size bed. It's the constant doing it day after day after day, and that definitely starts to wear on some people. Here's another camp we were at, and again, the views at these camps are just incredible. I mean, it's like you're living in an episode of Planet Earth. And you can see there's semi-permanent tent structures at some of these camps, some of the dome tents, and then various different tents that just get put up that night. More views. I just try to take as many photos and videos as I possibly can because the clouds keep continuously moving. So you always want to try. There was a particularly clear night. I got a better view. This is a little bit out of order, but this is a rock that I just thought it was neat to pose on back down at base camp. Trying to get in some good selfies. And the snow comes and goes. We were there in January, February, which for South America is their summertime. So you'll still see completely exposed rock, and then you go back to walking through the ice fields. And there, I did not take this picture. That's from the company I went with, but that's basically the mountain. So I woke up this morning at Camp 1. It's definitely getting colder because down here, the bottom of our tent was all frozen with ice crystals. So we're definitely layering up today. There's Dom. Here we are walking through the ice field. So weather's been really good for us so far, but now it's looking like our summit plan doesn't make a whole lot of sense anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to change it up a bit. And tomorrow we're going to rest instead of move. And then on summit day, which I think is going to be about 3 days from now, it's apparently going to be about minus 29 Fahrenheit. So we're preparing for that. So it's day 14. It's the morning of day 14. And I woke up this morning and all right here was all frozen in ice. So my Montbell sleeping bag, it's keeping me nice and warm, but it's definitely getting pretty cold in the tent. So we've made it to 19,800 feet. It's called High Camp. I gotta say, this is one of the coolest looking camps I've ever seen. It's all this volcanic creation here. And then, so our tent's gonna be right here. But then, right over the side, you can look down on the other tents, and then the rest of the Andes. So we're gonna go to sleep probably about 6 o'clock tonight. And we're gonna try to summit, wake up maybe around 3 a.m. So it's about 6:40 p.m. We're at 19,900 feet. We're going to attempt to go to sleep, and then we're going to wake up at maybe 2 or 3 a.m. to try to make the summit. So I realized we've gotten to the point in the video where, okay, you're summiting, so now let's see all the cool summit photos. Well, the problem about that is that you start at 3 o'clock in the morning and it's pitch black outside. So you can't really take any photos because everything's just completely black. And if you did take a photo, you would just be a single white light of the guy's headlamp in front of you. So we start hiking. I think we're probably hiking about 3:40 a.m. and it's just one foot in front of the other. You go extremely slow. You take about 4 breaths in between every step. You're going very, very slow. And we keep hiking and we keep hiking. And we get about an hour in. And well, what I'll do is I'll cut to the video where I'm back in the tent and I describe what happens. Well, I'll let you know the good of the bad. We woke up at 3 a.m. this morning and we started hiking, and it was really, really cold, and unfortunately 2 guys had to turn around in the first couple hours. And then we just kept hiking, and then we made it to this part called the Grand Traverse, where you don't really go uphill, you kind of just go beside the mountain, but it's really, really windy, and with the wind chill, my right eye actually froze. So my vision was all completely blurry in my right eye. So when you finish the Grand Traverse, then you have to walk straight uphill again. So I made it up to 21,900 feet. Which, pretty damn high. I'm still pretty happy with that. But I sat down, I just had nothing left, and I couldn't see out of one eye. And I knew if I kept going, I'd maybe go blind in the other eye. And there was about 2 more hours to go to get to the summit. And I knew I didn't have 2 more hours in me. So, turned around, came home, and that's all I can do to just lie in my sleeping bag here. I'm so exhausted. There's 2 more guys up on the mountain. I don't know if they're going to make the summit. I hope they do. So the quick summary of the mountain is that of the 6 people that started, only 2 people made it. So Mark dropped out at base camp. He really wasn't feeling it. Didn't think he could make it to the summit, so he dropped out. The remaining 5 of us, we all made it up to high camp. We all started that morning. It was Joe and Daryl. Joe was kind of wobbly on his feet. When you're up at high elevation, it's kind of hard. It's almost the same effects of being drunk on alcohol for some people. So he was wobbly on his feet. Daryl was kind of slurring his words and kind of talking nonsense. So that's a sign of hypoxia. Again, basically getting drunk at elevation. So he was turned around. Myself, Gary, and Adam, we made it up to 21,900 feet. I had the eye problem, and it's not worth it losing your vision, right? I could have maybe pushed it a little bit farther, but even pushing it 2 hours up, that means you got to push it 2 hours back down to that place, and then you still had to walk 5 or 6 hours back to base camp. And I thought about my friends and family and my job and my life back home, and I thought, it's just not worth losing my vision for. So I am totally happy with this decision that I made. It really was not a difficult decision to make whatsoever. 21,900 feet, that was the level that I was higher than anything in North America. It's higher than anything in Europe or Africa. The only place in the world higher was the mountain that I was standing on and the Himalayas. So I thought, good enough. Let's no one to hold them, no one to fold them. So I decided to turn around. I made it back down. Gary and Adam, they did make it to the summit, and they made it back down. I think it took them about 15 hours round trip. And one of the things is, just, making it to the summit is one thing, but making it back home safe is the much more important thing. And they both were having heart problems for the next, I think it was about the next 30 hours, Adam was telling me. His heart rate didn't go below 170. So that's a crazy high. I mean, it's basically the feeling of going sprinting and never stopping sprinting for 30 straight hours. And that's how people die. Their heart just can't take it. So I'm glad that I decided to call it quits when I did. They pushed it. They made it back. They made it back safe. At this point in the video, we're still at high camp. So we still have to make it back down to base camp. We still have to make it back down to the parking lot. So basically what we do is we wake up in the morning. It was crazy windy the next morning. It was so windy, the park rangers came over and they said, "Are you guys going up or down?" We said, "We're going down." I said, "Good, because everybody's going down." And they shut down the mountain. So probably something like 200 people just had to turn around and go back home. We were lucky enough to have the chance to summit, but there was over 150 people, maybe almost 200 people, that were all told the mountain's too windy, you don't even get the chance to summit. So the mountain was shut down for the next 5 days, and we just hurried down as fast as we could. And I think now the next few videos I'm going to show you is basically what happened on the descent. We've made it back to base camp. I look like death. I smell like death. I feel like death. How do you feel, Joe?
Death. You feel like death? Consensus? We all feel like death.
But I'll tell you, it's the best tasting apple juice in the world.
Feeling dead.
So it's the morning of day 19, and my feet got pretty messed up yesterday. We walked 17 miles through the desert, and so I bandaged them all up this morning. So now all we have to do is we walk 7 miles. We get on a bus and we go back to Mendoza. This next video shows that we're not out of the woods yet. We're walking downhill on these very narrow pathways, but there's still more groups coming up and down. And these pack mules, they basically just run in a big herd. Their handler is at the back of the herd in case something falls off one of the mules. So these mules, they know where to go, and nothing's getting in their way. So we're walking down, and suddenly just running around the corner is about 10 mules running full speed at us. And this could have turned ugly. Luckily it worked out okay, and I managed to get my camera out just in time to take a video of us almost getting run over. We all good?
I am now.
Hola. That was fun.
That was the worst. Like wore my nose tag, I know bricks.
We had a couple of water crossings we had to do, so this first video is just kind of a nice little easy one that warmed us up.
We have this many water crossings going up.
I think we took a different route. Yeah, team.
So that last video I showed you, pretty easy river crossing, but again, if you slip, going down, you're hitting your hip, and you could seriously make yourself not have a very good day, and your backpack gets all wet. So you do need to be careful crossing some of those smaller rivers. But what happens when you get to a bigger river? So this river here, it's pretty warm outside. It's about 75 degrees. But the water is glacial. It's absolutely freezing cold. Your feet are completely numb when you cross this, and it's blowing extremely hard, and it's blowing lots of dust. So you have to close your eyes. We have a kind of a balaclava type thing. It's called a buff on our face to keep the dust out of our mouth. And we basically, as you see in this video here, I'll just start it. So our main guide has made it across, and this is Adam. This is me standing there. This is Gary, and I believe that's Joe. But look at the dust. I mean, it's like being hit in the face by a sandblaster. So you just kind of have to wait for a big amount of dust to go by, and then I think I say something like, "All right, guys, time to go." And I've got in my hand, I've got a little GoPro camera, so I was actually filming as I walked across, and the water's murky, so you can't see, and you kind of just feel your way across. You hope it doesn't get any deeper. And we go in. Some people were wearing water shoes. I just straight in went with my shoes. You can see it goes basically up to our knees at the end there. And we had about 7 of these that we had to cross.
So this is an interesting stretch. Basically, every step you take, you just kind of fall down into the river, and everything's just crumbling beneath you. Lots of fun.
So this is the final stretch, the final few miles before the parking lot. Again, every step is an ankle twist. You know, every step you could potentially end your time. The group that went right before us, I think it was it was a husband and wife team, and the wife twisted her ankle on day 2.
How you feeling,
and
Joe?
you know, you can see there's just rocks everywhere. You twist your ankle, and that can be the end of it. So just because it looks a little bit easier hiking, you still got to take it pretty seriously. So we hiked out, we made it to the parking lot, and I think the final photo, yeah, I've lost 12 pounds in that photo, so I definitely tried to bulk up after that. So that, in summary, is the whole hike. I think I'll just maybe quickly do a lessons learned debrief. So I'm all back to Denver. I'm showered. My blisters are all gone. I've had a bunch of ice cream, so I feel good. I do have some notes here about what I would maybe have done differently for next time, or if I could go back in time. So physical exercises. What did I do to prepare for this? I did a lot of work in the gym. Basically, 3 days a week I did cardio. 1 day a week I did upper body strength, and 1 day a week I would do lower body leg strength workouts. My legs were never sore the entire time I hiked. I really felt good the entire time. But what I would do for my next hike, and I wrote some lists down here, ankle strengthening. You know those boards that you stand on and that you kind of do like a wobble sort of thing in the gym? I would definitely do that because there's lots of walking on rocks that you have to do. So that's something you could do in the gym, but you could also just put on a heavy backpack and go for a walk on a beach or go for a walk on a trail where there's lots of kind of uneven surfaces to walk on. So ankle strengthening, that's something that I would work on for next time. Core workouts is always a good thing to work more on. Maybe that thing where you take a medicine ball and you kind of go back and forth. So that's maybe one of the more workouts I would add in. More deep squats I would do. I would say this helps. Yeah, this helps when you're using the washroom. I'll leave it at that. But being able to hold a deep squatted position when you're, maybe just the weight of the bar and doing a squat, that would be another good workout I would probably add in. Adding in yoga, moving around a tent, moving around a sleeping bag, it's not as easy as getting out of your bed, right? So definitely adding in more yoga, that probably would have been a good workout. I say here, what I was doing for biceps, triceps, chest, shoulder, that was all good. You don't want to get too big. If you have way too much muscle, there's just not enough oxygen to get into your blood to supply your muscles. So being big and beefy and bulky is not a good way to get up a mountain. Our guide said he's never seen a bodybuilder make it to the top of a mountain. So I started at 175. I ended at about 165. I'm 6 feet tall. That's kind of the range you want to be in. and our guides, they were more so like 5'10", and they were more like 150. So you don't want to pack on a bunch of muscle. That's not going to help you. You do want to pack on a fair bit of muscle on your legs, but upper body, just kind of stay relatively fit in your upper body. Keep doing uphill running, more long hikes. Adding in an altitude mask for training. Our guide said he's never in his life seen someone who trains with an altitude mask who's made it to a summit. So just take that as it is. He's never seen someone who does that altitude mask training make it to a summit. So I'm not going to be adding in an altitude mask. And then beyond the physical, mental things to prepare for, the isolation. You know, you're on rest days, especially, you're sitting there for 24 hours doing nothing. So, you know, you can only read so many pages of a book because you finish your book. I mean, I finished the books that I brought up there. So being able to be in your own head and tell yourself stories and go over various different things in your life, it's the mental isolation that really gets to some people. There was one guy in our group who, I think it was on day 8, he said he almost quit. Day 8 of 24. And not because it was physical. He was in the best shape of all of us. But he said, he's like, man, I'm just going nuts. I can't be alone in a tent for this many hours. So that's another thing to really mentally prepare for, just lying in a tent, staring at the top of the tent. And you're going to run out of things to talk about with your tent mate. So that's another thing to really prepare for, is the boredom. And one thing that helped me, because I didn't really experience that, I didn't look at it as it's 24 days and then it's 23 days remaining and then it's 20 days remaining. It's 15. I didn't look at it as that. I looked at it as, we've moved to the mountain, we live here now, and this is what we're doing. Because if you're counting down the days, that works on a 4-day trip. But when you're counting down the days on a 24-day long expedition, man, it's a lot more days to go. So I didn't count down the days. I forgot what day of the week it was. I forgot what month it was. It was just, this is what we're doing. We're waking up in the morning, we're hiking, we're going to sleep. We're waking up the next morning, we're hiking, we're going to sleep. We're waking up the next morning, and we're just sitting around throwing rocks at other rocks. And that was a way that I kind of staved off kind of the almost insanity that can happen when you're away from everything for 24 straight days. So I guess in summary, I loved it. It was fantastic. I'm very glad I did it. I'm very glad I turned around when I did. You know, you gotta know your limits, and that's not just physical. That also applies in business. It applies in relationships. It applies in life. You got to know when to say, I'm out. We're not doing this anymore. So I'm happy I found my limit. I will be back in the mountains. I don't know what mountain will be next. I mean, I was saying to my girlfriend, our next vacation is to Victoria. You know, we're gonna go on a nice, easy vacation next. After that, we're going to Japan. There's no mountains in the immediate future, but it's fantastic. You know, if you're looking to do Aconcagua, you can send me an email or send me a message. I can try to give you maybe more tips beyond this video. It was fantastic. I did enjoy it. It was awesome. Yeah, I wish I made the summit for sure, but the thing is, if I would have made the summit, I'd be signing up for Denali. And if I made the summit of Denali, I'd be signing up for Everest. So, I mean, those are the next two, right? Denali's the next one. And some people, I mean, our guides even made the argument that the summit day on Aconcagua is a lot more difficult than the summit day on Denali. The more difficult thing with Denali is that it's just colder a lot of the time, and there's a lot more snow to deal with. And then, of course, Everest, I mean, that is triple the amount of time on a mountain. So that's really the peak. I don't think I'm doing Everest. I might do Everest Base Camp. Who knows? You know, I've only been back for a few days. It was a great experience. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. And thank you, everybody, for making it through this giant video of my entire experience on Aconcagua. See you later.